Hey guys, it's Matt from TDM Style here, and I've got some new stuff for you today that I'm really excited about. Number one, as you can see, I've got some new silvery purple highlights that I'm super stoked on. And I've also got a really exciting product to review. I've got the Fire and Brimstone edition of Lockhart's matte clay. So I was really excited to buy this for several reasons. The first one being that it was my first Lockhart's purchase, and I've only heard great things about the Lockhart's brand, especially the matte clay. And it just happened to work out that by the time I was thinking about buying their matte clay, it was fall and they had just released their Fire and Brimstone line. So if you aren't familiar with that, basically during the fall every year they come out with the Fire and Brimstone edition of a number of their products. So they're essentially the same products but with new packaging and a very unique scent. Now this is the first time that they've actually made a Fire and Brimstone edition of the matte clay, and this is a new formula as well. It's basically the same, but they've added additional beeswax for higher hold, and they've also added bentonite clay for additional texture. And before I bought this, I did watch several reviews of the Fire and Brimstone pomades, and everybody was really raving about the scent and everything, and so it was just really exciting to get this in the mail. And now that it's here, I can tell you that I am absolutely loving it, so let's get into the details. So, talking about the packaging first, this is a 3.7 ounce jar, same as their regular matte clay, and it is that same brown jar, although the labeling is quite a bit different. On top we've got a black aluminum lid, and then this just really awesome labeling, this dark charcoal gray with a kind of smoky texture to it with all these deep red colors, and I just really like the look of it. Around the side we have these levels of hold, volume, texture, and shine. We've got the Fire and Brimstone logo in the center there, and then the directions on the other side. Next up is the smell, and I have to agree with all those other reviewers. The Fire and Brimstone smell is absolutely incredible. It's totally unique. I've never smelled another product quite like this. It's smoky and warm and a little bit sweet, and you know, the way that Lockhart's described it was kind of think of a fire pit, and I get that. It's kind of like that smell that your clothes have after you've been around a campfire, but with some sweeter tones in there, and it's hard to describe, but it smells amazing. Next up, we can take a quick look at the ingredients list. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is a new formula with additional beeswax. So we can see that beeswax is in the #1 spot here, followed closely by kaolin clay and petrolatum. Next we've got water, then the bentonite clay, then we've got a couple oils and emulsifiers, including sweet almond oil and tea tree oil. Now moving on to texture and application, if we open up this jar, you can see that typical kind of grayish tone that you find in a clay. And now this one I've found to be quite firm, and from the other reviews that I've watched of their regular matte clay, that does seem to be a bit creamier and a little bit easier to scoop out. So this does take a bit of work, although it does break down very easily. And while you're breaking it down, you can feel that grip in the hand, so you do know it's going to have some good hold. Despite the firmness of the clay itself and the grip that you feel in your hands, application is silky smooth, zero tug and pull whatsoever. And now Lockhart's actually says that a little goes a long way with this stuff, and that is absolutely true. I styled my hair with it this morning, and I think I used like less than a dime-sized amount, and that was plenty. I have found that for my personal hair type, if I use too much of this, my hair will end up looking a bit greasy and get a bit heavy, so it is something to be aware of. You definitely want to start out with just a little bit and add more as you go if you need it. So now we can talk a little bit about the performance. So once you've actually got it worked into the hair, the hold does kick in pretty much immediately, although I do notice that it does set a bit more as it dries. And one thing that I've noticed is it works very well if you actually hit it with the blow dryer after you've applied the product for a couple of minutes. Just you can kind of speed up that drying process and really lock your style into place. And this makes sense to me after watching the Lockhart styling method video that Mike over at Modern Man TV put out of a method that Lockhart's use themselves for how to style with this. So I'm going to link that right up here if you haven't seen that. It's a great video and definitely an interesting styling method that works very well with this clay. The added bentonite clay in this formula definitely does give it a lot of texture, and obviously the more that you use, the more texture you're going to have. So if you wanted to, you could end up with a really pieced out style, or you could be a little bit more conservative like I was today and have a little bit more of a traditional matte look. And the finish is just that. It is definitely a matte finish. Again, as you use more product, it will add a little bit of shine, but nothing overwhelming. Now, in terms of washing this out, it is wax-based. I mean, I know there's water in there, but it's not the first ingredient. So for me, this does not come out with water alone, but it does come out very easily with a shampoo. And one thing that's nice about it not coming out totally with water is that you can rinse your hair with just water, and then you will have enough of that left in there for a really nice looking second day hairstyle, and you won't really have to add much more, if any. And finally, we can talk about price. So this comes in at $19.95 US, which is very slightly more expensive than their regular clay, which comes in at $18.45. But I still think that $19.95 is a great price because this is 3.7 ounces. And I'm used to spending $20 for a 2-ounce jar, so getting basically double the product for the same amount of money is like no-brainer. Shipping are the standard USPS rates, so for me it cost me $3.50, so it will be a little bit different depending on where you live and how much product you are buying. Alright, so overall thoughts, I am absolutely in love with this clay. It has become my daily styler of choice. To me, this is what a hair clay should be. I mean, I have used several different kinds of hair clays, and they range anywhere from very creamy with a light hold to very firm with a really heavy hold, and you know, all kinds of different textures and finishes. And to me, when I think of a proper hair clay, this is what it should be. Aside from that, I love the packaging. This is something that I like having out on my shelf. I just think it looks really badass and cool. As I mentioned, the other reviewers were totally right about the Fire and Brimstone scent. It just smells incredible and totally unique. And I think the price is great. I mean, essentially $24 for 3.7 ounces of a product of this quality is a steal. So get one while you can, because this is a seasonal product. They only release Fire and Brimstone during the fall. The matte clay still is available, and I'm not sure, but I would imagine that once it's sold out, it's going to be gone for the season until next year. I could be wrong. They might have a second stock coming up, but I'm not sure, so I think you should get one while you can because you will not regret it. That does it for this review, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so to keep up with all the upcoming content on the channel. And as always, thank you so much for coming by and watching, and we'll see you at the next one.